How to Become a People Magnet. Written by Mark Reclau. Narrated by Greg Doris. Introduction. Your success and happiness in life, to a great extent, depends on how you get along with other people. Are you able to influence and persuade them? Although success can mean something entirely different for each person, there is one common denominator: other people. Les Giblin mentions in his book, The Art of Dealing with People, that various scientific studies have proven that if you learn to deal with other people, you will have gone 85% of the way down the road to success in any business, occupation, or profession, and about 99% of the way to happiness. I completely agree. Although I teach that everyone is 100% responsible for their own happiness, people are a huge factor and can influence your happiness or unhappiness enormously. I have good news for you. Good guys do not finish last anymore. If you get along well with people, doors will open where there were none before. We have to learn to get along with people so that we can be happy and at the same time leave our counterpart's ego intact. The most successful people are usually the ones who best get along with people. Of course, there are always exceptions to the rule. Science tells us that the number one predictor of success and lasting happiness is our social relationships. People with a strong social network even live longer. The most successful people, quite often, aren't the ones with superior intelligence or the best skills. And the happiest people, most times, aren't smarter than we are. Yet they are the ones who have the greatest people skills. You cannot force people to like you. And this book is not about people-pleasing. But if you work on your people skills, you will see that people, in some magical way, cooperate more willingly with you, appreciate you more, and finally, give you the approval and acceptance you've always craved for. And the best is that it will all happen naturally. Remember, what goes around comes around. If you now think, I will work on my people skills when people start accepting me more. That's like being thirsty and saying, I will drink when I'm not thirsty anymore. Don't wait. Start practicing your people skills now. In this book, you will learn specific principles that you can start practicing right away. Most of them are common sense, but it's always good to have a reminder. Because as they say, common sense is the least common of all senses. The times are over when you could force people to act as you want, or force them to give you what you want. The best strategy, as of today, is to learn the skills of dealing with people. Let's get to work. Part 1. First things first. 1. Understanding human nature. If you want to develop people skills, the first thing you have to do is obvious. You have to understand people. You have to know why we do the things we do, and how we react in certain circumstances. Understanding people means recognizing them for what they are, not for what you want them to be, nor for what you think they are, but for what they really are. So what are they? Let's get the elephant out of the room right in the beginning. People are, above all, interested in themselves. Yep, sorry. No matter who you are, people will always be 1,000 times more interested in themselves than in you. No judgment here. I bet that you are also 1,000 times more interested in yourself than in other people, right? No worries. That's okay. It's human nature. Really, no judgment here. Just accept this uncomfortable truth. You can be 1,000 times more interested in yourself than in other people and still do good things for them. But we'll get to that later. People's actions are governed by self-interest. Period. As I said before, that in itself is not a bad thing. You don't have to become all apologetic or embarrassed. It's human nature. It has always been this way, and it probably always will be. It's something we all have in common. In every human relationship, your counterpart will always think or ask themselves, what's in it for me? Remember this question. What's in it for me? By the way, you're asking this question in all your interactions too, consciously or subconsciously. Does this all sound too negative? Well, it gets better, right now. Once you have accepted this truth, you can use it successfully in all your interactions with people. You will see in the following chapters that many successful techniques of dealing with and influencing people stem from this understanding. People are above all interested in themselves and not in you. 2. The most important subject of any conversation. Are you ready to polish your conversation skills? Do you want to know the most important and ultimately the most interesting subject in the world that any person would love to talk about with you? Ready? Okay, here it is. The most important subject that anyone will want to talk about with you is themselves. I'm sorry if I sound cynical, but it is what it is. Stay with me though. This book will change your relationships and interactions with others. Just stay with me. So, when you talk with people about themselves, they will love you for your wise choice of subject. They will be totally fascinated by the subject and show an enormous interest. Have you ever been to a networking meeting or a social event and had to talk to a person who is just talking about themselves all the time? How did it feel? Were you very attracted to that person? Did you want to spend more time with them? Or were you just waiting for a reason to get the hell out of Dodge City? On the other hand, you might have talked to a person with people skills who talked about you the entire time, who asked questions and was interested in you, wanting to know what and how you were doing. How did that feel? Who of those two persons would you prefer to be around? When you are talking to people, forget about I, my, and mine for a while and substitute it with a word that will make you a very sought-after conversational partner. The word you. What can I do for you? Is there anything I can help you with? This can be very beneficial for you. How are you today? What are your favorite? When you get from I, my, mine to you and your power and influence will increase by a significant degree. Do you want to know another way of using people's interest in themselves? Here it comes. Get them talking about themselves. Who doesn't love to talk about themselves? If you can show true interest and get people to talk about themselves, they will like you a lot. So ask them lots of questions about themselves. How's everything going, Barney? How's your family doing? How are things at... What have you been up to since our last meeting? Stop talking about yourself and start talking about the person in front of you, or get them to talk about themselves. 3. Make people feel important. What makes people tick? What makes people do the things they do, good and bad? The desire to be recognized. The desire to be important. The desire to be noticed. The desire to be someone. This is the most powerful motivator. It's the reason for doing good things. And, unfortunately, for a twisted mind, also the reason for doing bad things. We can use this universal trait of humanity to take our human relationships to the next level. I can't mention it often enough, of course. Your interest in the other person must be real. We want to use these techniques to become people magnets and influencers, not to manipulate people. Whenever people talk about the greatest people magnets and most skillful leaders, they say something like, "He made everybody feel special. She made everybody feel like they were the most important person in the room." This is where we want to get. This is what we want people to say about us one day. Make people feel important. The more important you make them feel, the better they will respond. Yes, you have this power. You can make any person like themselves better. Make them feel appreciated. Give every person you meet the importance they deserve, which is almost definitely the importance you think you deserve. Don't ignore them. Don't talk down to them. Make them feel important. Listen to them. If you don't listen, they feel unimportant. Compliment them, but only if it's a sincere compliment. Recognition and appreciation are so important. They make us function better under any circumstance. Use their name as often as you can. People like to be called by their names. Let them finish their sentence. Don't interrupt people. Make a short pause before answering. This gives them the feeling that you have listened closely and are interested in what they have to say. You can also nod while they are talking to show that you are following. Remember Chapter 2. Use you and your. Avoid I, mine, my, me. If you are in a group, don't ignore people. Pay attention to everyone. So, to make other people feel important, first of all, you have to think they are important. Secondly, you have to notice them. When you notice people, you are showing them you are important to me. And thirdly, don't forget that you are no different, as you also want to feel important. Make people feel important, and they'll always be on your side. 4. The most important characteristic. Agree with people. This technique will get you very far. Believe me, nothing will help you more than being agreeable. Why? Well, first of all, people like people who agree with them. Second, people don't like people who disagree with them. Third, people don't like being disagreed with. Am I right or am I right? Adopt the attitude of being agreeable. Learn to agree with people and let them know when you do so. Nod your head. Say yes. Right. I totally agree with you. I totally get you. As they say, any fool can disagree with people, and most fools probably do. Agreeing with people, on the other hand, is a wise, intelligent, and good decision, even more so when the other person is wrong. Only disagree with people if you have absolutely no other choice. No worries, it will happen less often than you think. When you are about to disagree with someone, always have in mind the magic question. Do I want to be right, or do I want to be in peace? In no case, argue. I repeat, don't argue, even if you are right. Why? Easy. Nobody ever wins an argument. Both lose. One loses, and the other one loses, even if he or she is right. You also don't win a lot of friends by arguing, do you? Who wants to be with a person that argues all the time anyway? So don't argue, and don't even think of fighting. Refuse to fight. Some people might even want to provoke you because they love fighting. They feed on fights. There's a saying in Spain, if one doesn't want to fight, two won't fight. Ignore the fighters. Change the subject. Walk away. Whatever. You don't want fighters as friends anyway. If you make a mistake, admit it. It's a sign of a strong person, and you'll be admired for it, as average and mediocre people don't admit their mistakes. They will rather lie, deny, or find excuses. Remember, people like people who agree with them. 5. How to make people like you immediately. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Old? Yes. Cheesy? Maybe. But also true as the truth gets. Experts say that people subconsciously decide if they like us or not in a couple of seconds. The first few seconds decide in which direction our relationship goes. Once this decision is made, it is very, very difficult to change it. The person you just met already knows if he or she wants to go out with you. The HR executive already knows if he or she will offer you a job or not when you stick your nose through the door. They might not be aware of it yet, but they know. Do you know how you can make most people friendly, cooperative, and polite in those first few seconds? Smile, and smile a lot. In the first moment when the door opens, when you make eye contact, even before you say anything, give the person your most sincere smile. A smile can do miracles. Did you ever try it? Smile at the baker, the butcher, in the subway, at the newspaper stand, and see what happens. Smile even when you are talking on the phone. The person on the other end of the phone will notice it. Smiling is contagious, so in most cases, people will smile back and be nice to you. Mostly in human relationships, you will get right back what you put out to other people. What goes around, comes around. Be nice to people, and people will be nice to you. Be rude, and people will be rude. Of course, there are always exceptions to the rule. So if you are nice and your counterpart is rude, become even nicer. The meaner they get, the nicer you get. Make it a challenge. Nobody can resist long against sincere politeness, a good heart, and a smile. By the way, smiling is not only good for your relationships, but also for your health. Science has demonstrated that laughing or smiling a lot daily improves your mental state and creativity. It also alters your stress response in difficult situations by slowing down your heart rate and decreasing stress levels. Smiling sends a signal to your brain that things are all right. One study has even found a link between smiling and longevity. Smiling people are perceived as being more confident and more likely to be trusted. People just feel good around them. Smile and win in all relationships. 6. How to make a good impression. You teach people how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. If you want to make a good impression, giving yourself the value you deserve is crucial. Before expecting people to value you, think well of you and admire you. You have to value you. Think well of you and admire you. Do you follow? You can't expect others to believe in you if you don't believe in you. Yet, start being proud of yourself, of who you are, of where you come from, and of what you do for a living. This is not the time to be modest. Careful though, it's also not the time to be arrogant. I'm talking about healthy self-esteem. Knowing who you are, knowing your strength, but also knowing that you are not better than anybody else. And remembering that nobody is better than you either. You can influence the opinion of other people about you through your behavior. Behave in a way that will have a positive effect on people. Handle yourself with pride and confidence. Be sincere with people. Say only things you mean, and mean the things you say. As I mentioned before, cheap compliments, empty promises, and meaningless words will always be discovered and cause the opposite effect of what you want to achieve. Always keep in mind that it takes months and years to build a good reputation, but only seconds to destroy it. If you show genuine passion and enthusiasm, it will be difficult to resist you and to not like you. Enthusiasm is contagious. There are also some don'ts that can hinder making a good impression, like being over-anxious. Being over-anxious makes people wonder, and they start doubting. Why is he so anxious? What does she have to hide? Never try to make yourself look good by putting other people down. This makes you look bad and can damage your effort to make friends and influence people. Remember, a person that treats you nicely and disrespects the waiter is not a nice person. Stay away from people like that. And even more important, don't be like that, or people will stay away from you. Make the following your golden rule. If you can't say nice things, say nothing. Don't put people down. Other people's opinion about us is primarily made by how we behave. 7. How to connect with people. One great way to connect with people is by being interested in them and in the things that interest them. In Barcelona, and probably in many other places, usually you make friends easily by talking about the city's seemingly most important subject: football. It doesn't even matter how the local team is doing. There's always something to talk about. Find out what interests people, and then start a conversation about it. This can help you in making new friends, as well as in business relationships and opportunities. Today, it's easier than ever. If you go to a business meeting, conference, or networking event, you can find out people's interests on social media. If you make an effort to study their interests, you'll surely get good results. I know a lot of salespeople who know everything that can interest their client even before they meet them the first time in person. Those are also the most successful salespeople. They talk about the interests of their potential clients with true interest and then close the sale. Become genuinely interested in other people and talk in terms of other people's interests. If you want to really connect with people, you need to show some real interest in them. You have to get away from the I, the trying to impress people with your achievements, and go towards becoming genuinely interested in other people. Attraction starts with little things like being friendly, just greeting people. You won't believe how many people are so self-absorbed they don't even greet people. Be nice, even on the phone. If you are smiling on the phone, the person on the other end of the line can feel it. Have in mind that people like to be admired. Remember their birthdays. Do things for people. When people notice that you are interested in them, they will become interested in you. But your interest must be sincere. People can smell false praise and played interest from a mile away. Show true interest in other people and succeed. 8. How to develop an attractive personality. Going through life, we all want to be liked. We want to have friends. We want to be interesting. We want to feel important. We want to attract friends and clients naturally. I'm sure you know people who are like that. So how are they doing it? And even more important, how can you develop these abilities? One of the most important ingredients is acceptance. You must accept people as they are. So simple, and yet sometimes so complicated, right? To make it easier, remember these things. People are not like you. They are not perfect. You also aren't, and even better, you don't have to be. You can't change them no matter how hard you try. They might not have the same values as you, and many times they won't live up to your high expectations. So I'll make it easy for you. Accept and like people just as they are. On the long run, that will be more influential than any advice or lectures you have to give. Another ingredient is approval. No matter how many faults somebody has, you can always find something to approve of. Let people know it, because seeing these things and mentioning them will make them grow. Remember our hunger for acknowledgement? If you start approving of character traits in people, you will satisfy this hunger, and you will probably make these people work on other character traits and skills to gain more approval. Praise people and watch them grow. Last but not least, the third ingredient, appreciation. Next to love, appreciation is probably the most critical force in the universe. When do our marriages and jobs go sour? When we don't appreciate them anymore. When we don't appreciate what we have. And how do we make happiness and success grow? Appreciating what we have. Appreciate your spouse, your children, your employees, your boss, your clients, and the most important thing, let them know you appreciate them. Be grateful. An excellent way to show your appreciation is to tell them. But there is more you can do. Don't keep people waiting. Be punctual. Let them know you will be with them as soon as possible. Thank people. A very powerful way is to write people a thank you note or letter. Treat people as special. Remember that we all want to be recognized for our uniqueness and worth. Accept, approve of, appreciate. Use this formula to become a people magnet. 9. It's what they want, not what you want. When you want to influence people, always have in mind it's what they want, not what you want. I love the example Dale Carnegie put in his classic How to Make Friends and Influence People. He loved strawberry and cream, but when he went fishing, he didn't use strawberries with cream to bait the fish, but worms. Fish want worms, not strawberries. In human life, it's the same. We are interested in what we want, but nobody else is. Everybody else is just like us. They are interested in what they want. So, If we want to influence them, we have to talk about what they want and show them how to get it. We have to put ourselves in their shoes and see things from their point of view. We have to make them really, really want what we have to offer them. We have to speak their language, use the words they would use, and talk in terms of what they want. If you can show them how you can help them and focus on what they want instead of what you want, you can show them how you can solve their problems. Then, my friend, you have more new clients, partners, or friends. As a salesman, for example, you have to think what your client needs. Which problem can you solve for them? Which advantages does your product have? Where are you better than your competitors? As a leader or spouse, you have to put yourself in their shoes. What do your employees or your spouse need from you? Motivation? Acknowledgement? Praise? Gratitude? Those usually never fail. The more you think about the needs and want of other people, the more successful relationships you will get. Be careful though, and don't forget your own needs and wants. Remember, it's what they want, not what you want.